I don't want to be unnecessarily morbid, but do you ever think about what you would like to have on the headstone at your grave, the epitaph? Uh, okay, I admit that is a little bit morbid. My thoughts, though, are not so much about how morbid and sad it will be when I'm dead and gone, and my family have to figure out what to do. What I'm thinking about and talking about is what what goes on that headstone really needs to be true. You know what I'm saying? Um, it, I pretty I'm pretty sure that there are quite a number of headstones in any given cemetery that are not quite accurate to the one whose memory they stand for. I have a few I guess I would call favorite headstones. My real favorite headstone is the in quotations. I told you I was sick. I don't know what well, first of all, I don't really care what happens to my remains, and the truth is it's a lot cheaper, and I don't have a problem with cremation, so those are my wishes. And if that presents you personally with a theological issue, you could message me or let me know, and I'll share my thoughts on that. But uh, uh, if I have a headstone, which probably I won't. I mean, I'm not big into that. But if I did, there are just a few things I would want on it. Uh, I want to be remembered by my character. I want my character to be such that I will be remembered well. I have a friend who conducted a funeral. The oddest funeral I've ever heard of was in Las Vegas at a bar just around the corner from the airport. And as he entered, along with everybody else that was coming in the bar, it was not a huge crowd. Uh, they gave him a bottle of beer, and which I've never personally been to a funeral where that was the practice. At any rate, he went through the normal, introductions, and then the service began, if you can call it a service. And it was his practice that at some point in the service, you just ask if anybody has a memory of this departed one to share. And so he asked, and a woman stood and said, "That's my old man. He was the worst SOB I've ever known in my entire life." Now, of course, my friend was quite taken aback by that. And then another, and another, and another, until half a dozen people had stood up and talked about what a horrible person this guy was. It's hard for me to imagine, why would you gather to the memory unless if it was ding dong, the witch is dead. I don't know. I know this. I would love for the eulogy at my funeral to be an encouragement to my wife and my kids and the rest of my family. I want them to hold good memories of their time and interaction, relationship with me. I think that's what you would want too. Here's the truth. We are today writing our eulogy. We are today writing our epitaph. We are, by how we live, by the choices we make, by the way we care for or don't the people around us, the way we treat them, who we are and how we are is writing our eulogy. So today is a day to begin or continue to think about what we would want our eulogy to say. I believe that 3 words that I hope appear in my eulogy are 3 of the words that Peter used as he closed out his thought, his blessing in 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 10. I'll read the whole verse. And the God of all grace, who called you to his eternal glory in Christ, after you have suffered a little while, will himself restore you and make you strong, firm, and steadfast. Strong, firm, and steadfast. 3 things that I very much want to legitimately describe me, my life story. I don't want them to be the only 3 words, but I want those 3 words to be included because they offer the profile of a resilient, mature, effective, I hate to use the word out of context, but I think this is maybe the only context that I could legitimately use the word successful. Doesn't matter if I build a huge counseling practice, if I write more books, if I have if my soul care viewership grows from half a dozen to many thousands. That's not success. All that is just measurable efficiency, maybe, I don't know. But what success has to do with, I achieved what was important. And for me, the only thing at this stage in my life that goes at the first place in terms of importance is that my life more daily, every day, reflects the nature and character of Jesus. Those 3 words, certainly they reflect his nature: strong, firm, steadfast. To stand strong has to do with my mental toughness. I've been watching, the week I'm recording this is the week of the U.S. Open golf tournament on a very difficult golf course in New York, Winged Foot. It has traditionally, in the 6 times it's hosted the U.S. Open, the scores posted there have been among the lowest scores in the history of major tournament play in professional golf, because it's really, really hard. And as the commentators talk about the play, and then the players in their interviews talk about the course and what it takes to play well on the course, one theme emerges over and over and over again, and it's they say it requires mental toughness. That's strength. Mental toughness means enduring the bogeys and double bogeys and coming back afterwards with pars and birdies. I know if you're not a golfer, that won't make much sense and certainly won't matter to you, but you should know I believe that golf is God's favorite sport among humans. And I could give you a whole bunch of good reasons for that. But here's the thing. In terms of my faith, my walk with God, my life day by day, I want that kind of mental toughness, because there are things that are going to happen. There are things that happen because I make stupid choices, right? There is this law of harvest. You reap what you sow. You sow a stupid decision, you get a bad consequence. That's a law, and yet there are things that other people's decisions bring into my life that don't have anything to do with what I wanted or what I chose or how I approached it. But from the time that enters my life, then I must choose what will I do about what happens to me. And choosing well, living out that choice well, is all about mental toughness, to be strong. And then he says firm. To be firm has to do with, it's very closely connected, obviously, to strength. But to be firm, I think in this context, he's talking about, I'm not wishy-washy. I don't choose one thing and then switch to another and then switch to another. I don't have this, alternating current thing going in how I make my choices and live my life. I'm firm. It doesn't mean rigid. There's a difference between rigid and firm. I don't want to be rigid, because rigid people in the 21st century will struggle mightily, no matter how much you want to be rigid, no matter how dominating you think you can be. You can't. The world changes so fast, but you can, even in those changes, you can remain firm. And then third, steadfast. That means you don't quit. You stay the course. What does that look like? What does it look like for a believer, a follower of Jesus, to be strong, firm, and steadfast? What for you, for me, to be strong, firm, and steadfast, where does that show up? Well, I think it shows up primarily in one context. The evidence of our strength, the firmness and the steadfastness things show up in the context of our relationships. First, our relationship with God. Can I be honest? Well, I'm going to be as honest as I know how to be, and tell you there have been times, even recently, when what God has permitted or brought into my life doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't fit with what I would like in my life. I would choose differently, right? There are times when he seems to be silent. It feels as though he's looking the other way. Although intellectually, I know his promise is he will never look the other way. He will never leave me. He will never forsake me. He is here. Wherever here is, he is there. The Psalms over and over and over again affirm the presence and closeness, the involvement and activity of God. But you know what? They also affirm the human experience that Jesus cried out from Psalm 22 while on the cross. My God, why have you forsaken me? Yeah, that's a very human feeling. We may all, I think we will all experience it from time to time. Even then, I will remain firm. I will remain strong. I will remain steadfast. Even when I don't feel that God is so close. I don't get the warm fuzzies. But even then, I will remain strong, firm, and steadfast in my faith in him. Being strong, firm, and steadfast in my other relationships, one word that I think fits with these three things is reliable. My family, my friends, the people that I work with, the people in my life, if I'm going to be strong, firm, and steadfast, will find me reliable. I'll do what I said I would do. And if I am unable to do it, I will seek a release from my promise. I won't lightly say yes to things. I'll know that in order for my yes to mean anything, I've got to have a solid no. I won't say yes to everything. Strong, firm, steadfast. It also has to do with resilience, that they can count on me, that when I take a hit. It may take me a little while, but I will be back. I won't close off my life because life has become hard for me. This is a big thing for me because that is my tendency when I've been hit or hurt to shut down and defend. And I'm learning in the Spirit of Christ, I believe, to become more and more resilient. That my hope might be diminished by the events that happen to me, but it can't, I will not permit it to be taken away. What does it look like for you to be strong, firm, and steadfast? Here's the challenge today. Get out a piece of paper or your laptop or whatever. Anyway, you need to write this somehow or type it. What does it look like for you to be firm, to be strong, to be steadfast? What does it look like for you in the context of your relationships? Then the second question is, where do you need to focus your effort in partnership with God's grace to become stronger, firmer, more steadfast? And the Holy Spirit will guide you and give you insight, because the point is, He wants you to be more and more and more like Jesus. Well, we'll pretty much finish the book next time. I hope that we get to connect this way then on Soul Care with Stevie Boy.